Earlier we took a look at Google Image Search to do a reverse image search. In this video we're going to take a look at a couple other programs here. Now the first one I have is TinEye. Now TinEye and Bing image feed are going to do the same thing. They're both going to do a reverse image search against whatever search engine that they use. So here I'm at TinEye, that's TINEYE.com, and it's pretty simple. You could either enter the URL or you can click this up arrow and you could choose your picture. So I'm going to choose my photo here. Okay, and we're going to do search. Let's see if that went through here. Let me turn that off real quick. Try that again. Okay, and you click the magnifying glass here. If you're running a boot score, you may need to turn off uBlock origin or put a exception in there for it. Okay, so as you see here, it found 7 results against 34.8 billion images. And in here we have our different URLs that it found it at. And we could click on those. And again, same use case. You could, if you're searching something, you find an image or you have an image, that's where your start point is. You could put it into TinEye and you can see where it comes up and see where else that image was used and potentially find more information on your target. Likewise, if we go to Bing, Microsoft search engine, bing.com/images/discover, or if you go to Bing, you could just click on images up here. And then we could just click on the camera here. And we could do the same thing. We either could paste a URL in here, or we could drag an image in here, or click browse. And we could double click our image here and do search. Now let's try that again. Browse. We have our image here. Okay. And in here it's going to find similar images, and there's our images. And we can click on any one of these to find where it's going to go to, or where it found it. Again, there's several other ones, but again, personally I generally find better results with Google. But if you have an image and you're doing a reverse image search, what I would recommend is, even though the other ones, TinEye and Bing, generally don't come with a lot of results for me, or sometimes no results, I'm still going to feed it into all 3 of these or more of these search engines. Generally, sometimes one will find something the other one doesn't, so that's why I like to feed it through several different reverse image engines to potentially build out what I'm going to find, what information is out there. So again, we took a look at TinEye and Bing for reverse image searches. Thank you for watching. Reverse phone numbers for US and also European countries. Now, in some of the comments and some of the reviews, and when people message me, they occasionally ask for more tools for other countries. Now, full disclosure, I am located in the United States, and I haven't had much of a need to dive too deep into other countries doing OSINT investigations. So, since there's so many people asking for this, and I'm always curious about additional tools, it's always great to take a look at more stuff. So I took a little time and took a look for some reverse phone number tools that work for both the US and also European countries, and I came up with 2. So I don't have a lot of use cases because, again, I am located in the United States, but some cursory searches, it did seem to work pretty well. So first up, we have searchyellowdirectory.com, and it can be found at https://www.searchyellowdirectory.com/reverse-phone. Now, this one will search, again, both US and European countries, and it'll give us some basic information, and we could pay more additional money if we want more information. So let's take Hotel Grace Kyoto Sanjo North, and this is a Japanese hotel. So I'm just going to copy this phone number here, and it's important to grab the country code. So in this case is +81 75-222-1111. Now let's paste it in here and see what it does. I'm going to paste in there, click the search button, and we can see that country code is 81, so it knows it's in Japan. It has area code 75, Kyoto, capital of Japan, Tokyo, local time, we have time zone, and there's a little bit of information here, not a whole lot, but again, if we want to get additional information, it looks like we can actually pay for a service. So the next one we have is COMFI, which is communication fidelity. It can be found at https://www.comfy.com/a-book/reverse. So let's see what happens with this. I'm just going to paste it in here. I'm going to click on lookup, and then we have a little bit of information. There's not a lot here. So it tells us the country and destination and the city or exchange. And it has quite a bit here. So this particular number it didn't do too well with. Again, I like to use multiple tools because sometimes, even though the first one I used didn't really come up with a lot of information, sometimes other phone numbers will, or other searches will come up with more. So it's always good to have a couple on hand to actually test out. So again, this is Comfy, which is comfi.com/a-book/reverse. And the other one is searchyellowdirectory.com. These will both search for US and also European and other countries. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Spiderfoot. Spiderfoot is a program designed to crawl websites. So a good use case for this would be if your target has a website and you want to grab as much information as you can on an automated level. So fortunately, Spiderfoot is pre-installed onto Bouscador. So I'm just going to log into my Bouscador VM. Login is OSINT, password is going to be the same, OSINT. And we're going to wait for that to load up real quick. Okay. So once you're in Bouscador, you want to click on Firefox here. Give that a second to load up here. And it's going to be in this upper toolbar here. So to launch it, all you need to do is actually just click on it. And this is going to be the Spiderfoot page. So as you can see here, I have one scan already. I scanned my own website, and I'll show you that in a second. But let me give you a look into what it would be if you're going to run a scan of your own. So it's pretty simple. All you need to do is click on New Scan. And then here you're going to name your scan something that you're going to remember. I'm going to just put down Demo. And the seed target is going to be either the URL, for example, www.google.com, or the IP address. So, or you could even do email addresses, as you can see in here. I'm just going to do, put in my website again, www. Okay, got my website in there. So down in the next section, you're going to choose what you want that scan to look like. So if you do all, you'll grab everything it can. As you can see here, all Spiderfoot modules will be enabled, but it's going to be slow. But every piece of information about the target is going to be obtained and analyzed. You could do, likewise, you could do footprinting, understand what information this target exposes to the internet. And what that means is gaining an understanding about the target's network perimeter, associated identity, other information through a lot of web crawling and searching. You can run an investigate, best used when you suspect the target to be malicious but need more information. Basic footprinting, in addition to querying blacklists and other sources. Or you could do passive. You don't want a target, you want the target even to suspect they're being investigate it, because some of these scans can be a little intrusive, and depending on what type of systems they have, they may detect that their website was scanned. As much information will be gathered without touching the target or their affiliates. Therefore, only modules that do not touch the target will be enabled. So, choosing the right scan is going to be up to you and what your use case is. If you're pretty confident the target is not going to find out that their website was scanned, you could click the all. Otherwise, if you have a specific need, you could choose something else in here. So, pretty simple. Once you select which one you want, just click on Run Scan, and we'll start that up here. And it's going to pull up this scan page here. Status is running right now. And this is going to take a long time to scan if you're doing a full scan on a website typically. So let's go back into the scans here. I'm just actually going to stop this one. If you need to stop the scan, you could actually just go with this action here and just click stop. Okay, and let me show you what it looks like when you actually finish a scan. So I'm going to click on test. That was a scan I ran earlier. Okay, so you have a couple different sections here. You could do status, and in here it's going to give you a nice chart here. Affiliate IP address, percentage of unique elements in here, internet name, web content, HTTP headers, a lot of information in here. It's going to give you an overall view of what the scan looked like. A total of 507 scans, 469 unique. Status finished at 252 errors. If you scroll down in here, you can see additional information, the timestamp, date, the component, status, and this is where the scan completed, debug modes and whatnot. Okay, if you go to browse, browse is going to break out the additional information it found. Affiliate IP addresses it found 10, total data elements 20, affiliate web contacts, cookies, co-hosted sites, domain name, parents, IP addresses, just a lot of great information. Linked URLs, external. Let me just show you real quick. So if you click on that, it's going to give you all the information, different links that it did find. And if I click back here and go back to test. So as you can see, it has a lot of great information that you can browse through here. It found my Twitter that I linked into it. So Disposable Games is a Twitter account. So just a really great module for crawling a website. And if we go here, we can click on Graph. So this is going to be a graph, and depending on how extensive the website will depend on how complicated this graph is. It basically shows how all that information is tied together. And if you just kind of scroll in here or a mouse wheel in here, you can see how everything is interconnected. Okay, and we can go back to scan settings if we want to take a look at how the scan was ran. Target, start date, completed. We have the various modules in here, statuses. And if you click on settings here, or logs rather, it'll give you additional log files for everything. So let me go back into my scans. So if I click on this, say whoever you're working for would like the information that you pulled from the website. All you need to do is check it, and then you could do export selection. If I click on this, And you could do CSV or GEXF. Let's do a CSV file. And we're just going to open it up to take a look at what the output looks like. And in here you can see all the scan information for the scans it ran. So again, just a really handy tool to use if you need to crawl a target's website. And just a couple cleanup items. If you need to delete a scan, just check it, click on delete. If you need to rescan it, just click the rescan button. Or if you want to clone the scan, you could just click that button there. And then we could just choose the modules or uncheck whichever modules that we don't want to run and just rerun the scan again. So again, this was Spiderfoot, part of Buscador's program, and it was designed for website crawling. I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we're going to be looking at HTTrack. It's a website copier program, and just like everything else that we're working with is open source. So HTTrack is already installed to Buscador. To launch it, simply click the little green circle here with the gear icon that says HTTrack, and it's going to launch the website. Before we do that, let's take a quick look at HTTrack's website in itself. As we can see here, it's a free offline browser copier. If we click on download here, we see it's also available for Windows. Looks like it's all available for Android and also for the various versions of Linux here. Debian, Ubuntu, Gentoo, Red Hat, SUSE, Fedora, FreeBSD. So there may be situations where you want to copy a website. Maybe you're doing an OSINT investigation and your target has a website that you want to make a copy of. Maybe you're worried they're going to delete it or they're going to modify it, or could be another page that you find of interest and you don't have time to go through everything at the moment, or you're worried that they might detect scanning on the page. So HTTrack is a great program. It allows you to download the whole website onto your computer, and that way you could take as much time as you want poking apart the website, looking at the links and everything else, because it makes an exact replica of the website. So let's take a look at the program itself. So again, just click the icon on the sidebar here, and it's going to pull up a page here, right here. Okay, so HTTrack website copier. You could choose your language. I'm just going to click next because by default it's going to be in English. If you have an existing project name, you could choose it. I'm just going to name it Demo 3 here. You could choose a project category, and by default it's going to be put into the Home OSINT Websites folder. So I'm going to click next. Everything looks okay to me. And in here you can choose different actions. Download the website plus questions, get individual files, download all sites in pages, multiple mirror. You could test the links, bookmarks, continue uninterrupted downloads, update existing download. I'm going to do the default here. Now in here, either you could click on add URL, but it's simpler just to type whatever the URL is here in the box here. Now one thing I do want to warn you about is if it's a secure site like this one here, this is my website, I'm just going to Control C this one because it's quicker. And also I found that if you just type in www.disposablegamestudio.weebly.com, I found it's going to error out. It actually wants that HTTPS. So my suggestion to you would be, if you're on the page, just copy the URL. That way it avoids the misspelling, and if it's HTTPS or whatever else, you could just simply go back in here and paste it in there. So I know this link is okay now, so I am going to click on additional options, and just to show you, in here you could choose the different options for it. Spider scan rules, get non-HTML files, which is checked by default. You could test links, get HTML files first, try to catch all URLs, even unknown tags. I'm just going to cancel this. The default's going to be fine for this demo. I'm going to click on Next. And here, please adjust your connection parameters if necessary. Then press Finish to launch the mirroring operation. If you just want to set the parameters up and run it later, you can check this other option here, Save Settings Only, Do Not Launch Download Now. I'm going to click on Start. Okay, so here we can actually watch the progress of what's going on here. You can see it's in progress. The time, transfer rate, connections, file written, and you can actually see each section that it's going through. And if you want to uh, skip any of the connections for whatever reason, you could actually just click each button here. I'm going to click on abort here because I already loaded the page. And it's going to ask you, do you really want to quit? I'm going to say yes. So depending on the site, since it is downloading the whole site, it may take a really long time to download. So once it's done, you can actually click this browse mirrored websites, and it's going to pull up the ones it just did. So let me close this real quick. So this here is the real website that I have, disposablegamestudio.weebly.com. So if I go through here, you can see I have, About Us section, blogs and news, and, what we're currently promoting, and gallery, contact form, RSS feed, and whatnot. Now this here is the one that I cloned. So you can see here it's actually going to my local machine, Buscador, on port 8080. There's the website folder that's coming through, and there's a URL. Now you can see here, this is an exact clone of the real website. And I can actually just kind of click through here, and you could find different stuff in here. So this is a really handy tool to use. Again, if you need to copy a website or anything else, I highly recommend using HTrack. You'll be able to, again, go through the website at your own leisure. And I'll see you in the next video. So this is a really handy tool to use. Again, if you need to copy a website or anything else, I highly recommend using HTrack. You'll be able to, again, go through the website at your own leisure. In this video, we're going to be installing MetaGoofill onto our Buscador 2.0. Now, if you had an older version of Buscador, you probably had a copy of MetaGoofill. However, at the time of this recording, version 2.0 does not have MetaGoofill installed already, so we're going to go ahead and install it. So what you want to do is you want to search for MetaGoofill space Git, and it should take you here, github.com/LARAMIES/MetaGoofill. And also I do have this linked in the description of this video. So I'm going to click on here, and it's going to take us to the GitHub page. Okay, so I'm going to click on this green button here. I'm going to click on the notepad here to copy that URL, and then I'm going to open our terminal, which is Hilux. Okay, I'm just going to say yes to this, so if this does come up, go ahead and let it update. Okay, let me clear this screen out here. And then I'm going to type in the command sudo space git space clone space, and then I'm going to paste a URL in here. Okay, I'm going to paste that in and hit enter. And I'm going to enter my password, and it's going to copy MetaGoofill. So let me clear this out again, and if I do ls, we see the folder here. So In order to get to the folder, we do cd for change directory, type in meta goofil, and hit enter. Okay, now if I do a ls, we could see the files in here. So as we see, metagoofil is a .py file, which is a Python file. So I'm going to type in sudo space Python, because we're running a Python file, and we're going to type in metagoofil.py, and I'm going to hit enter. And this is going to give us the basic information for metagoofil. So at the time of this recording, it's version 2.2. We can see the URL on here, the person that's responsible for metagoofil, and we can see some of the commands here. So some of the options are -d is the domain that we're going to be searching. -t is going to be the type of file we're going to download. PDF, a doc, XLS, PowerPoint, docx, etc. -l is going to limit our results of search. So as we see, default is going to be 200. -h, work with documents in the directory. So if you want to do use yes for local analysis. We could do -n is going to limit the type of files to download. -o is going to be the working directory, where it's going to save those files. And -f is going to be the type of file. So as you see, metagoofil will actually search a website for different documents, whatever we specify, and it's going to download it onto our system. So really handy if we're going to do a search on a website, we're doing OSINT reconnaissance on a website, we could have metagoofil go out, try to find any sort of files that are stored on the website, and download it onto our personal computer so we can analyze those files later. So really great tool. It uses Google and kind of hook in there and to find these files here. And as we see down here, we have some examples. So I'm just going to copy the first one here. Okay, let's copy that. And we are going to go ahead and run that. So I'm going to do sudo space Python space, and then I'm going to paste that in there. So as we see here, metagoofil domain is going to be apple.com, so it's going to apple.com. It's going to look for doc files and PDF files. It's going to limit itself to 200. Limit the search results to 200. It's going to grab no more than 50 files that it finds, and it's going to save it to a file called Apple. It's going to save it to a folder rather called Apple Files, and the results is going to be in an HTML format called results.html. So I'm going to hit enter here, and we can see it working right now. So it's going to Apple's, trying to find all the PDFs and doc files there. Okay, so I'm going to go here to Files, and we're going to go to our metagoofil folder here, and we see a folder here called Apple Files already. And we can see some of the documents already found at apple.com. So we have a PDF file already, and we have 2 doc files here already. So I'm just going to exit out of this instead of waiting for all the results, because we could already see that what it's pulling down already. So let's go ahead and open one of these files here. This looks like a Security and Exchange Commission's file here. Let me try to zoom in a little bit. So, as you see, this could be a really handy tool for open source intelligence when you're searching out a target website. Instead of spending time on the website trying to dig through, find this file or that file, you could just set metagoofil out there, put your parameters in there, and have it search for any sort of files that it could find on that website and pull it down to your computer for analysis later. So even if that website goes offline, you still have those files on your Bootskador machine to further analyze later. So again, really great tool. Again, Bootskador 2.0 it was removed. However, we just saw a real easy way to install it and how to run it. And also, I can't say if it's going to be in the newer version of Bootskador or not, but again, we have a way to install it, and it's pretty easy to install and run, as you can see here. So again, this was all about installing MetaGoofil, and how it runs. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. The internet never forgets, or so they say. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at some techniques to find old or deleted data that was posted online. So the first tool we're going to be taking a look at is called the Internet Archive Wayback Machine, and that can be found at www.archive.org. So as the name implies, it archives just about everything that was posted on the internet. Books, movies, software, music, websites, and more. So when you have time, I highly recommend taking a look around the site and seeing all the different things that they actually archived over the years. So for our purposes, Internet Archive can be an indispensable tool for OSINT, allowing us potentially to go back in time and retrieve deleted Facebook posts, Twitter posts, website posts, blogs, and all sorts of other information. Especially if our target, posted something that we need to go back into. So the way the Internet Archive works is essentially snapshots or takes archives of websites at different times, and if we're lucky, the our target information will be saved in the Internet Archive. So, for example, let's say yahoo.com was our target. In this box here, we just type in the keyword website or URL. So I'm just going to type in yahoo.com. And then it'll go back and try to retrieve if there's an archive for it. So we'll give that a minute. Okay, so here we go. As you can see, Internet Archive started archiving yahoo.com back in 1996. And these graphs here will tell you basically how much of the site was captured. So let's say our target was back in 2010. Okay, so if I click 2010, down in here you could actually see the month and days that things were archived. So let's say our target is March 4th, and it's roughly going to be about 108. So if we click on that, you can see there's 15 snapshots associated with that date. And as you can see here, we're pulling up Yahoo's page from March 4th, 2010. And this is actually what Yahoo's website looked like at the time. So as you can see, if your target had a Facebook page, you can start seeing if any of those pages were archived and start going back and seeing if there's any data that they deleted that could be useful for your OSINT work. So as you can see, this can be a really, really powerful tool. Your mileage may vary because it doesn't archive everything, but at least it gives you a better chance of retrieving data that you potentially wouldn't have access to otherwise. So real quick, I'm going to show you another program. It's called Resurrect Pages, and it's a Firefox plugin. So if you don't want to use Buscador, you can and you have access to Firefox on whichever device you're using, it's just another free plugin that you install to the browser itself. So the way it works is once you're on the page that you want to see if there's an archive for, simply click the button, and then you'll see several options in here. You could try to pull Google caches, Internet Archive cache, Archive IS, website, and Memento Time Traveler. Then down in here, you can open in the current window, foreground, background, or a new window. So again, we were taking a look at Internet archiving, and again, it's a very powerful tool, great for pulling potentially deleted websites or social media posts that people have made. In this video, we're taking a look at the OSINT framework. Now, if you finished the course previously, this is a new video. And for those of you who have not finished the course yet, occasionally I might go back in and update videos or add sections with tools that I find that are important. In this case, I really wish I found this when I was building the course because it's actually a really cool website and tool set for OSINT work. So OSINT Framework is a website, as you can see here. It's at osintframework.com, and it's a free tool. So in here it has a lot of different OSINT browser-related tools that you can use. Username, email addresses, domain, IP, social networks, dating sites, telephone numbers, maps, metadata, the list goes on and on. So it's actually a pretty ingenious way they set it up. So as you see here, there's OSINT Framework, and it kind of splinters off to these other sections here. So if I click on username, it splits off into two more sections, username search engines and specific sites. So let's try username search engines. Click that, and it splits off to these other sections, Intel Technique, Tools, that's them, check name, usersearch.org. Let's try that. So we click that, it opens up another site that has a lot of different, it allows us to find email addresses and usernames. So let's try, and in here you see find the person behind the username, email address, or phone number. So let's see how this works. And this is the first time I'm using the site, so I guess we'll see how it works together. So let's try email search. I'm going to type in one of my email addresses, and let's see what it comes up with. And if you're running no script like I am here, you probably need to temporarily allow these things to run. So let's try that again. Okay, and let's see here. So there is indeed a account on Flickr for Dispo Games. Flickr, and I think that's probably going to be one of the only things it does find. So, yep. And as we scroll through here, we see a lot of different references here. Exact email may not be found, but we found an email with a similar looking profile. And in order to view it, we just click on View Profile, and we can try to verify that information here. And the page isn't available. So let's close that, and let's see if any of these other ones are live. Nope. So, as you already know, OSINT work isn't a guaranteed thing, so this is just another tool that you can use. So let's close that, and if you want to pull back different sections, because if I start opening a bunch of these, this whole area is going to be really filled up. You can start clicking on these and kind of backtracking. Okay, there we go. Now, there's dark web stuff, tools, and other tools. Let's take a look at threat intelligence. So there's phishing tools, X-Force Exchange, Bot Scout, and again, just a huge variety of tools in here. So I really encourage you to start looking through here, start kind of playing around with this tool. And again, this is just another tool for your OSINT basically tool belt. So web-wise, this is a really excellent tool. I really highly recommend this, and Intel Techniques. So again, this was OSINT Framework. It was just a really quick look at it. I just really want to make you aware of that this is available, and it is a really incredible tool to use to help you on your OSINT searches. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. In this video, we're taking a look at another OSINT website. This particular one can be found at www.uk-osint.net. Now, this is obviously a UK OSINT site, so some of the people are asking for European OSINT tools, this can be a really good resource for you. Now, if we kind of scroll on the side page here, we can see there's different OSINT pages, creating online IDs, dark web links, domain IPs, gambling, gaming, Instagram, LinkedIn. So it has several different OSINT tools in here. So this is a really good start for if you need additional OSINT tools and additional OSINT resources. But what I found the site really useful for is generating fake identities. Now that might sound a little bit more nefarious than it needs to be, but in terms of OSINT, you do want to have a identity. Now, this could also be used for hacking, ethical hacking, creating an identity to use for different purposes. OSINT point of view, you would want to use a fake identity. If, say, you're creating a Facebook page, and you want to use an account that doesn't really tie back to anything that you have, but you want to make it believable in case you have to interact with the person or if someone's takes a look at who's looking at them. You don't want a just completely blank profile, no information there, and kind of scare your target thinking, who is this person that has no information, checking out everything that I'm doing. This is where some of this could come in handy for UK OSINT. And the exact URL here, as you can see, is https://www.uk-osint.net/creatingids.html. Now, I played around with a few of these, and it can be really handy, especially when you combine it with things like this person does not exist for the image. So you use something like this person does not exist to create your image, and then you can use something like this fake data generator, for example. So let me click on this. Now here, this is pretty handy. I've actually used this to create Facebook accounts to make a believable Facebook account that I could use to do my OSINT investigations. Down in here, we can select what country. So I'm going to do United States or United States, as it says. You could choose your gender, male, female. I'm going to do male, then you select your age range. I'm going to do 18 to 20, and I'm going to click generate. And in here, it's actually pretty handy because it takes a lot of the guesswork out, a lot of the things, have time you might spend creating a believable ID, and it creates one for you in a matter of seconds. So, and if you don't like it, you just keep hitting generate. I'm going to just hit generate a couple times. Okay, so let's try this one here. Let's see what happened. So our name is Aaron F. Mendenhall. Male, age 18. It gives a birth date. It gives occupation. It gives a address. It gives you a zip code. Gives you a state, country. It gives you an email address. So if I click on this envelope here, it looks like you could actually use this generic quick email. So if we click on here, it'll take you here, and it gives you an actual inbox for the fake identity that it generated for you. So pretty cool. Now let's keep going down in here. It even generates a random password for you to use on those accounts. So I mean, this is pretty handy if you just want to print this out, keep it somewhere secure, encrypted. That way, you know that okay, my Facebook account is Aaron F. Mendenhall. Here's my password. That is a unique password. Even gives you a phone number. Gives you a card. We're going to just click on read more. And it looks like this is a fake credit card number. So that's pretty interesting. Gives you the code, the date, a PIN code. It even tells you what your height and weight is for this persona, your blood type, your status. Are you married, single, divorced, a widower? It gives you what your vehicle is, vehicle model, year, serial number, your zodiac sign, your religion. So really, really cool if you want to create a fast and dirty identity, you don't want to spend a lot of time on it. This can come in really handy, and this, again, that's part of this UK OSINT site here. So I encourage you to take a look at this. Give it a spin. The more resources, the better. You know, again, one tool that doesn't work for us, there's generally quite a bit of other tools out there. So keep an open mind, keep on practicing, and I'll see you in the next video. We're taking a look at blackbookonline.info, and it can be found at blackbookonline.info, all one word. Now, this is a pretty interesting website. As we see here, it has over 37,000 free public record online lookups, so as a OSINT investigator, that's going to be really handy for you. Now, with most of the tools, this is going to be US based. So the first part here is a search that you could do on here. And the example here, Dallas, TX jail. So what this is going to do is going to look for jails within the Dallas, Texas area. So if I just hit enter here, we can pull up a search here, and we see it pulls up different results here. So we could do a jail inmate mega search, and there's jail inmates for location Carlton, Denton, Dallas County, Texas area. And if we click on here, we could actually go here and we can try to do a search for inmates within that area. So if we're doing a criminal background check on someone, if we're trying to find someone, we'll potentially be able to find them on these things. Now, with most links, it may or may not work. Looks like this particular one is actually broken at the time. So I'm going to close this, and if you want to report it, you can simply click the broken link, and it'll log it as a broken link. They'll probably go and double check it and possibly update it. So again, that's a pretty useful thing to have on here. It's nice that they have it, so kind of keep things up to date and working. So if we keep scrolling down in here, we can see there's a number of other lookups. We could do more than just a straight criminal background check. So we could do email lookups, we could do death record lookups. So if you suspect someone potentially using a false identity, maybe they're using, one of the old tricks was to find someone that died on the day that you were born and go in to try to get a new birth certificate and social security. So you could run a death record lookup, see if that name and date matches anyone that died on that day and date. Also, you could do things like maps and satellite photos, maritime records, court records, corporation lookups, P.O. box locators. We have phone validators, phone lookups, people searches, parking ticket records, news searches, motor vehicle, military. And see, it's a pretty massive list here for things that we could look up here. So really handy, or you could choose by state. If your OSINT investigation is isolated to a certain state, we could simply click on that state and potentially find, kind of isolate that search in here. So again, really useful stuff here. If we choose something like, oh, let's check out email lookups. And we see there's a number of other links in here that we could potentially use to check the validation of that email. And it also gives us a source here. So this one is mxtoolbox.com. A location, United States, nationwide, and we can see ratings on here too. So if I click on here, and a lot of these, if not all of them, are free. So that's another useful thing. And we simply paste the email header into here, and it'll try to do a reverse lookup. Again, with emails, you're probably not going to get a lot of useful information anymore, especially if it's a public one like Google, Yahoo, or Microsoft Outlook. A lot of that stuff is obfuscated now for people's privacy. So again, that's a good bad thing. Good part is it does help protect people's privacies. Bad part is it will make it a little bit tougher for OSINT investigations, but as we know, not impossible. There's always a way around things. So again, this is Black Book Online. and it can be found at Black Book Online Info. And again, there's just a lot of great useful tools on here. And if one link doesn't work for you, one source doesn't work for you, there's generally a lot of other links in here, as you can see. You could try the other ones and see if they'll work for you. So again, it's just a collection of really useful tools throughout the internet. So hopefully that helps you out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Welcome. In this video I want to go over QBib, and it can be found at qbib.com, cubib.com. Now what QBib is, it's a free public database search. So it functions similarly to what a people would be, or a Spokeo, or any number of other large database search engines. However, this one is a free public data search, so let's get started. Now in here we could type in a name. I just have a generic name, Mike Lee, and you could choose whatever state that you want to isolate it to. Now I'm just going to leave it all states. I'm going to click get started here. Okay, and that's going to do a search. Now this is going to be great for if you have a name and you just want to pull up more information. Obviously if you know what state they're in, that's even better. And again, this is going to be kind of a basic people search engine. So, okay, and you may get a notice here. This is actually an ad, so don't click that up there. So we simply just scroll down. We can start seeing information here. So as we start going through here, we can start seeing different names here. We have Mike Howard Lee, gives his age, gives us also known as, and it has a location here. This particular person's Louisville, Kentucky. It has the last known address, last known phone number, known email addresses, possible relatives, previous addresses, other email addresses, and other phone numbers listed. So again, obviously that's going to be very useful, very powerful for when you're doing an OSINT search. And again, this is just another great database that you could use to help facilitate your search for individuals. And this is going to be for the United States. And we scroll down here, we can see additional people. Again, same information, name, age, also known as, location, addresses, possible relatives, email addresses, and other known phone numbers. Now the other thing that's great about this is I can click on something like property records here, and it'll scroll down to here, and we have 38 results for Mike Lee with a public property record. So now we can see a physical address. We could see it looks like they own a house. We could see the year it's built, the area. Sometimes you can see the county and other information. Some of this stuff will have estimated value for the property and whatnot. So again, really useful website. Not only for finding locations and whatnot, you could also try to do vehicle sales data, who-is records, voter registration records, court records. Did they visit the White House and whatnot? So really useful information. Again, this is qbib.com, and it's just another tool we could use for our OSINT investigations. Hopefully you find this useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. In this video, we will be talking briefly about the dark web. In simple terms, the dark web is a part of the internet that is hidden from standard search engines. As a matter of fact, in order to access sites on the dark web, you're normally going to be required to use a special browser such as Tor in order to access them. The dark web tends to be that mysterious, uncharted area on the internet that movies portray as uncharted, seedy area full of criminals and drugs. Truthfully, the dark web can be dangerous to navigate if you're not careful. There are a number of drug transactions, viruses, hackers, and other seedy types peddling everything from viruses to drug trafficking. As dangerous as it may be, there are legitimate sites out there. I believe there's a Onion site, which is what these sites are known as, .onion, for Facebook, and I think the Wall Street Journal, one of the other news outlets actually has a hidden page. So people do set up legitimate pages out there too. So you need to be careful if you decide to go searching around there. Um, if you decide to access the dark web for your investigations, I recommend doing a couple things. So first of all, you want to make sure that you're running a VM image. In that VM, I would run it as a Linux distribution. Make sure that it's patched and secured. Uh, wouldn't hurt to put an antivirus on there like Clam. Make sure you take a snapshot of that VM image before you begin searching the dark web. All right. You want to revert it back, the image back when you're done searching. And you may want to consider running a VPN in this case. I know in the previous lecture that we said you generally don't want to use a VPN for Tor, but in this case you may want to consider it just to have that extra layer of protection. And also be extremely careful where you're browsing and what you're looking for. Browsing certain sites on the dark web or just browsing the dark web in itself may get you into legal trouble depending on what you're looking for and where you're at. So you can find a number of onion links at thehiddenwiki.org, and we got the page up right here. All right, so in here you can see several links. DuckDuckGo, Torch is a popular search engine for the dark web. Uncensored Hidden Wiki, Onion URL repository, etc. So for this demonstration, I'm going to copy a pretty safe link, DuckDuckGo, and paste it into Firefox. So let me just right-click this. I'm going to copy the link location. Okay, here's Firefox. I'm going to open up another browser or another link here and paste it in. Paste and go. Okay, so as you can see, the page wasn't able to resolve itself. If you look up here, https://3g2upl blah 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 .onion. So that .onion, browsers aren't going to be able to recognize what it is. They're not going to be able to resolve that address. So whether you're using Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, or if you're using Safari, anything like that, it's not going to be able to resolve those addresses. It has to be ran through Tor in order for it to resolve. So let me go back to the Tor browser here. I'm going to just click this link here. And it's going to take a moment because it is routing through several servers. Okay. And as you can see here, DuckDuckGo comes up. It's able to resolve that .onion address here. So I could just type in anything like passwords. Okay, and it pops up our result here. So there is an alternative that does not require the use of Tor, and it is a little bit safer when searching the dark web for information. So let me go back to Firefox here, close this tab here. So it's called Dark Search. And Dark Search can be found at www.darksearch.com. And let me click on the About here. So the website builds itself as a search engine for your hidden data, or for hidden data rather. The site operates much like any other search engine, simply by entering your search criteria. You can start searching for things. It is tracking sites it's aware of, so your results may vary if you're searching for information on the dark web. Honestly, you're probably going to get more information out of Tor, but again, dark search is a far safer alternative. Even if you're using dark search, again, I caution you to use a VM in Linux. Make sure you take a snapshot before, restore it afterwards, and be careful where you're browsing. Okay, so this concludes the section on the dark web, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. In this video, we're going to be talking about Tor. Tor is an open source browser that is designed for privacy and comes pre-installed on Bootskador. So Tor is capable of hiding your true location. It helps hide your browsing habits and helps circumvent censorship. It also helps protect you from traffic analysis. So despite the negative light Tor gets from some mainstream media being used by criminals and other shady individuals, Tor is actually used by a number of legitimate users, such as the military, journalists, activists, and people that are concerned with privacy and online safety. So I just want to mention that just like any other tool, Tor can be used what it's intended for, or it can be used for bad things. For OSINT investigations, Tor can be very useful for keeping yourself private during your investigations. It's also going to be, for the most part, necessary if you need to search the dark web. So before we get into all that, let's take a quick look at how Tor works. So these slides are from the Tor website, and for more information you can find that at www.torproject.org. Okay, so in the first slide here we have Alice. So the first thing that happens is Alice obtains a client list of Tor nodes directly from the server under or rather through an encrypted connection. So Alice is connecting a day for that list here. Okay, in the next slide, Alice obtains that list. So she randomly chooses a path to the server. So as we see here, Alice is connecting through these servers here, again across an encrypted connection, and eventually connecting her to Bob. And then from there, it routes back over. So step 3, at a later time, the user visits their website, Alice Tor client selects a random path again. Green links are encrypted, red links are in the clear. So basically, Tor will route your traffic through what's called onion routers. So Tor itself doesn't really know the route it's taking per se, and it makes it harder to detect you because it's picking a random exit node, or one of these computers to your destination and then back again. So that makes it really hard to analyze where your traffic is going to end up. And with the other Tor users, if someone's trying to sniff your particular traffic, they have a lot of other people whose traffic looks just the same, so it's going to make it a lot harder to determine who you are. Now, with that said, there are methods to detect you. The FBI, a couple years back, actually exploited that. I believe Tor fixed that by now. But again, it's not perfect, but it works pretty well and far better than using a standard browser or VPN. So now that we have a basic understanding how Tor works, let's take a look at the browser in action. So I'm going to load up Bootskador here. And this link right here, this little green globe here, I'm just going to click that. That's our Tor browser. Oh, and I actually already have it running here. I double clicked it. So it's establishing connection. Okay, it looks like our browser's out of date. So if your browser's out of date, it's pretty easy to update. So just follow the giant arrow here to the little onion, and we could do check for browser update. And I'm just going to update that real quick. These updates tend to be pretty quick. Okay, well that's loading up here. So Tor is based off of Firefox, so you'll see some familiarity there. Now, once that loads in, I'm going to show you how to make sure that Tor is actually connected up properly. So I'm going to pause the video real quick while this is loading so you don't have to wait through this. Okay, so we're back. Our Tor browser is up to date. And I'm just going to click on this button here to restart the Tor browser. Okay, it's connecting to Tor network, establish our connection. Okay, and it's up to date. So if you want to test your network setting for Tor, you can simply click this link here, Test Tor Network Setting. So if I click that, it says congratulations, your browser is configured to use Tor. Your IP address appears to be 163.172.132.199. So in comparison, I opened a Chrome browser here. I did what's my IP. So my public IP is actually 73.66.123.62. So as you can see, it's actually routing as a different IP address. So it really is working properly. So Tor has a couple Firefox plugins installed by default. It has HTTPS everywhere, so that's going to force a secure connection to any website that you go to by default. It also has no script here. So no script is going to try to block dangerous scripts by default. So if you're trying to get to a website and it's not loading properly, you'll probably see a little exclamation mark like that icon right there. So if that's the case, you simply need to click on this and then figure out what you want to allow. I wouldn't globally allow scripts to run, but if you're having problems or you're not sure, there is a all button to allow all scripts temporarily. So let me open a new tab. I'm going to open up MSN here. So I'm going to click the plus to open a new tab, just like Firefox. I'm going to type in msn.com. And just so you know, connections are going to be a little bit slower going through Tor than, say, using standard Firefox or Chrome or any other browser. Simply because in that video we watched, it does route through several servers, and it's coming out on the other end in a different location. So right now, if you look up in here, it says ENGB. So I'm in the United States, and it actually thinks I'm in Europe right now. There may be situations where it comes out in another country, where in a different language. So just to let you know, that is how Tor works. It's going to randomly pick a location to come out. But if it's a problem, or if that particular location it has censorship where you're not able to get to sites that you really need to, you could always click this down arrow here, and you could choose a new identity. Also, you can see how this thing is being routed. So from here, it's going from my browser through Belgium, through United Kingdom, through Sweden, to the internet. So let me actually generate a new identity here by clicking this. And it's warning me that it's going to close all the windows. It's going to restart Tor. I'm going to go ahead and select yes. Okay, let's try that again. msn.com. Okay, if I click on the down arrow again, it goes from Belgium, Netherlands, Romania, out to the internet. Okay, the other thing you need to be careful about, or not so much careful, just a heads up. So if you try to do anything like, if I go to Google, since it is anonymizing your connection, a lot of sites don't really like that, and it's probably going to pull up a CAPTCHA on you. So let me type in Tor here, see if it pops it up on me. It actually looks okay this time. So it's going to be a little hit and miss whether it actually asks for a CAPTCHA or not. So if it does, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and enter it in. It's a little annoying, but still It's a much more secure connection. Okay, so before we get into the dark web, which is going to be in our next section, I want to go over some final basics for using Tor. Tor helps anonymize you by blending in with other Tor users. With this in mind, it's not recommended to run Tor through a VPN normally. Um, there's a caveat for that, which we'll go into the next section. You shouldn't maximize the Tor window. So, matter of fact, if I maximize this window here, up in here you can see maximizing Tor browser can allow websites to determine your monitor size, which can be used to track you. We recommend that you leave the Tor browser window at its original default size. So again, if you want to anonymize yourself, it's best to leave things at default. So it is a little bit more annoying using a smaller window, but the more people that do that, the better your identity is actually hidden. The other thing is you shouldn't add additional plugins in the browser. Again, once again, it's looking for users users, traffic, and browsers look the same to hide you. So if you start adding additional plugins that other people don't have, that starts reducing the number of Tor users that you could potentially be. Likewise, you shouldn't remove the default plugins that are installed in here. Again, it's just going to help narrow down the number of users of who you could be. Final notes. I just want to scroll down here on the Tor page. There is Tor for Android devices. So if you have a iPad, or rather an Android tablet or phone, you can download Orobot. It's free. It's going to be a legitimate Tor client. Okay, so I think that about covers the basic of Tor. So let's take a look at the dark web in our next section. In this section, I want to talk about sudo. Sudo is an application for iOS. So if you have an iPhone, an iPad, or a newer iPod Touch, you could use sudo. What sudo allows you to do is create different identities. So when you're doing OSINT, there may be times where you want to have a different identity to protect your own identity. Or you may need a disposable email, phone number, or text message system. That's where sudo comes in handy. So it's a free application, and it can be found in the App Store. Or if you want to get more information beforehand, you could take a look at their website at sudoapp.com. So let's take a quick look at some of the features here. So they're advertising 100% private messaging. Delete, modify, or disappear messages. You could chat with groups. End-to-end encryption, which is a huge benefit. You can make telephone numbers. You can make separate identities. As I said before, you can send emails, which are great, and receive emails. And there's also sudo app for web that you can see here. And this section here, you may or may not need it. It's called SudoPay, where it creates virtual cards. So let me give you a quick look at my particular sudo. So in here, you could actually have up to 10 pseudo numbers. I created 4 for myself. The way I have mine set up, and if you're going to use sudo, this is actually why I suggest also, is you begin to compartmentalize which each identity does. So you also want to have different locations depending on what kind of search you're doing and what your end goal is. So for each pseudo card I personally have, it's in different locations. San Francisco, some are over on other side of the United States and whatnot. So each one allows you to generate a new telephone number, new email address, and new identity. And when you set it up, it'll ask you what location, and you get to pick a telephone number, a lot like when you buy a new cell phone. And to create a new identity, it's pretty easy. You just click click that little icon down here, create new sudo. So as you can see here, when you make telephone calls or receive telephone calls, it'll pull up on the sidebar here. And you click the information tab, and down in here you can make telephone calls, call them back. You get voice messages, which are great. You can do text messaging just like a regular phone, emails, and contacts. The other useful feature is that this little gear icon up here, you want to make sure that you actually fill in these information cards here. That way you know that if someone calls you or if you're using a certain identity, you remember which identity is for what. Especially if you're doing things like a Facebook account and it asks you a question of, your security question, or where was that particular identity, went to high school and whatnot. It makes it a lot easier to remember. You can also share your pseudo card, share it to your device, so if you're moving devices, it makes it pretty easy. As I mentioned earlier, there's pseudo pay. If you want to have a secure temporary payment card, you could use that. I personally never tried it before. So if you click on your identity, you can set it up different ways. The label is going to be your name, or however you want that card to be displayed to you. Then you're going to put down the name that you're using on that particular pseudo. So if someone calls you or text messages you, it's going to pop up with that little pseudo name. That way you know, if you're going to answer the phone call, you know what that identity is going to be. Now in here is normally where the telephone is. I redacted it since I do use this identity for OSINT. If you ever need to burn your number, which means to change your telephone number, email address, say you're done with it, you're getting too much spam, or something went wrong, you could always reset both your telephone number and your email for that particular address. And it's going to do the same thing. It's going to ask you, what do you want your email to be? And you get to choose a location telephone number, which are great because, again, if you're using this for spam, or that particular identity is compromised for whatever reason, or you're just getting too much spam, you can use that to regenerate new emails and telephone numbers. So another great benefit. Color setting down here are just kind of this bar up here makes it a little bit easier to identify which card you're using. And in here is another easy identifier. These are the default icons you use for each identity. Just makes it a little bit easier visually to pick out which identity is which. And down in here you can upload different photos if you really want to. You can invite friends, and in here is more pseudo settings. Right here you can see I have up to 5 more pseudo accounts. You can reset your password, sync your pseudo data to another device. Okay, so in here it gets a little bit more information in pseudo. So pseudo allows 3,000 free messages a month. So you can send a lot of messages in a month for free. It also gives you 20 hours of free phone calls. So that also includes international, so that's great. Great for OSINT. Sometimes you have, when you're using certain websites and wants to do a telephone verification, that's where pseudo comes in handy. Outside of OSINT, pseudo is something that social engineers may use. In here, there's an iOS integration, pseudo credit, email storage. They give you 1 gigabyte. You could do Touch ID, support, and about. You could also completely delete your identity if you wanted to. Again, it'll ask you if you want to reset your number and delete it. Same thing with your email address here. You could do that all under the settings. So this was all about pseudo, and I hope you found it informative. Hello and welcome. If you're wondering why this is out of sequence, Or if you finish the course and you're wondering why you don't have 100% anymore, it's because I've gone back and I've updated the course. Now, I think I mentioned it somewhere that I would try to update the course periodically, and that's something that I feel that's important. As as I come across different tools or different techniques I think are really cool that you guys and gals should know about, I want to present it to you. Or if certain techniques change that I feel is important to let everyone know, I'm going to try to get in there and change it and update it. So that's why we have the video here today, and this is safe, surf safe rather. So this is actually a pretty cool tool. It's designed for fighting against fake news. Essentially, if you see a photo in a supposed news story, you could potentially use this program to kind of try to ferret out if it's actually legitimate or not, or if someone just photoshopped and is trying to create some fake news story out of it. So that could actually come in really handy for OSINT in terms of if you're investigating something and you come across this photo or this news story, and you're not sure if it's legitimate or not, you can potentially use this to try to find out and verify the information. So it makes that step that much easier. Now, it's in the Chrome store, and I'm not a huge fan of Chrome, but it's currently Chrome. I believe they're going to make a Firefox extension on it. Don't quote me on that, though. And when you search for it in the Chrome store, be sure to type in Surf Safe as one word. If you don't do that, it will come up with other applications that I really can't vouch if they're legitimate or not. So let's take a look at this thing. So as it says here, it's a designed to catch fake news, and it does that by when you search something or search an image, it's going to actually pop a little box on you. So once you install it here, it's going to come with this little icon here. And as we see here, if you hover over the image, it'll show you the indicator here. And let's click next here. What you do is, once you have it installed, you start clicking on news sources that you feel are trustworthy. So I'm going to actually click on a few here. I've uninstalled this and reinstalled it a couple times. So I need to reconfigure this again. And as you can see here, there's a lot of different news outlets here that you could actually choose from to help verify how safe your source is. So I'm going to click next here. Okay, I'm going to click on the CAPTCHA. That way it knows I'm not a robot. And we're going to start surfing. So this is pretty cool here. So here's a picture. Sometimes the Photoshops can be really good. This one you can kind of tell it looks pretty fake. You can click on here and it's going to analyze it. And it has a warning here, this image has been fact-checked by 6 sources. So that makes things a lot easier when you're searching certain images, and if you want to take that extra step to verify whether it actually is or isn't photoshopped. So this is SafeSurf. It's a super easy program to use. Again, all you do is hover over an image to go check on it. Matter of fact, we can pull up something like msn.com, and as you see here, if I hover over these images here, it has this little bubble here. If I click on that, it's going to try to start analyzing it, determine if it's actually legitimate or not. Certain things may not be in the database, other things will be. So if I click on this picture here, it doesn't look like it found anything here, but again, the more sources you choose, the higher chance it is that it's probably going to be in there. Or if you let a little time pass, as other news sites start picking up these things, it should be able to fact check it also. So again, just another tool that in your arsenal of OSINT tools to use. And again, this was serve safe, and again, make sure that you type in all in as one word if you're going to grab it from the Chrome store. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Media capturing. Occasionally we run into situations where we need to copy a section, a post, or a video that our target has posted online. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a couple tools that help assist with this task. The first program we're going to be taking a look at is called Video Download Helper. That comes pre-installed on our Firefox browser inside of Buscador. And again, since this is Firefox, if you're using OS X or Linux, some other distribution, you have Firefox, you can go ahead and just download Video Download Helper from the plugin store. So here, let's say we have this YouTube video that we want to download. Normally, if you right-click it, you can't save the video. You can copy the link, but you can't actually download the video file. So this is important because even though it's posted on YouTube, if the person that posted deletes it or YouTube deletes that video and it's a critical piece of evidence, it's going to be gone for the most part. So that's where Video Download Helper comes in handy. So once you're on the site that has the video file, you simply just click this button up here, Video Download Helper. Then here you can see different formats you can save it as. WebM, MP4, MKV, 3GPP, and different resolutions. So let's say we want to download it 480 by 360 medium quality MP4. Once you find the video file, or the format rather, that you want to download, just click on the arrow, and then you have a few options here. Quick download, download without asking a location, download and convert, download, delete, add to blacklist, copy the URL. I'm just going to click on download here. Okay, and it's going to ask me the method. I'm just going to say use the browser. And it's going to save it to my OSINT downloads folder. I'm just going to click on save. And you can see the progress bar here. Yeah, it looks like it saved it. I'm just going to open this up and test this out real quick. Okay, there's our media info from the file. And it's going to open this with the VLC. And you can see our video file has been downloaded. So extremely handy for being able to retrieve video files from your target website. So another tool that comes in really handy is called FireShot. Once again, pre-installed in Firefox for us inside Buscador. And just like any other Firefox plugin, you could download it on your Windows or Mac or whatever device you have that has Firefox that allows you to install plugins. So FireShot will capture pages, and it's this little S button here. If I just click this, it allows you to capture the entire page, visible part, caption selection. So I'm going to just do the visible part. So this is great for archiving stuff if you need to take a snapshot of a target website or a photo or anything else that you need. As you can see, you can save as an image, or a PDF file. So great for evidence capturing. So I'm just going to save that to my downloads folder. And let's see here. Okay, and there's our PNG file that we just saved. Now another program that we could use that does the same function is called Nimbus, and that's the one right next to it here to Fireshot. So if I click on this, it's going to pull up this page. We can actually just close that out. That's not necessary. Let me close these other tabs here. And you can see that we could capture, just like Fireshot, visible part of the page, selected area, the entire page. We could do a delayed screenshot, capture fragments, blank screen, and other options. And we could do send to Nimbus, Google, or Slack, download, or copy to the clipboard. So let me just give you a little demo here. I'm just going to capture a section. So it's going to have this little plus. I'm going to hold down my mouse button. I'm going to just drag it and then let go. And then you can do your editing, or I could just save it. So I'm just going to save the file here. Okay, I'm just going to name this Nimbus. Save it. And let's take a quick look at that file. As you can see, it captured our file right there. So I would recommend playing around with both programs to see which one fits your particular needs. So again, we took a look at Video Download Helper, we took a look at Nimbus, and we took a look at Fireshot, all great tools for capturing screenshots and media files from your target's website. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a program called User Agent Switcher. It's one of the programs that's already installed in Buscador. So let me close this out real quick. So if you open up Firefox inside Buscador, let me give this a second to load up here. You'll notice some programs up here, over here in the right-hand corner here. Now, User Agent Switcher is going to be this little globe icon with this line there. So if you click on this, you can see that the program will actually let you run your browser as several different types of browser. So up here you can run it as a mobile device. They'll think it's an iPhone or a Android 7 device, a Windows phone, and a couple other ones here, mobile, Firefox, Symbian, and Samsung. You could also choose different browsers for desktops. So Chrome, Opera, Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, and looks like that's the new Internet Explorer Edge. Or you can even have it think it's different operating systems, Microsoft Windows, Linux, OS X, Chrome OS, IBM Warp OS 2, or even FreeBSD OS. So you might be wondering why you would want something like this. So the idea behind this is if you're searching a target, say your target has a website that's either optimized for a certain browser operating system, or if you're looking for something or someone more dangerous, and they set up a website that has a payload designed for certain browsers, or it's thinking or it's expecting certain operating systems, you could actually just click in here and choose whichever you want the website to think it is, and it'll emulate the that particular browser. Other sites are, if certain sites are mobile only, you could just click on one of these and the website will think it's that particular browser or that particular device. So let me pull up a website here and I'll give you an example. Let's go to msn.com. Okay, so as you can see, this is the standard desktop browser. Now, if I click in here, and I could tell it, let's say it's an iOS device. So if I click this, and then I refresh this page here, you can see the browser actually changed. So now it thinks it's a iOS device. So it's giving me a mobile-only format. Likewise, I could tell it it's Apple Safari on a Windows computer here. And then it's back to a full desktop browser. So again, this can be potentially really useful for your investigations. And again, different use cases would be mobile-only sites, sites optimized for certain browsers or certain operating systems. Or again, if you're looking for someone a little bit more dangerous and you suspect they have a website designed for a certain payload for a certain operating system or a certain browser, you could always switch it in here. And again, if that's the particular target that you're going after or you suspect, remember to use your snapshots for your VirtualBox here. And make sure to restore it afterwards. That way your system isn't compromised for later on when you're continuing your investigation. So again, this was an example of a user agent switcher. And that's a that's a Firefox add-on. Have I been pwned? If you never checked out this website, I highly recommend you take a look at it. So, Have I Been Pwned is a website where you can plug in an email address and see if it's been part of a data breach. And this website is by Troy Hunt, who is a very well-known security researcher. So the way it works is they have a large database here. So 277 pwned websites, about 5 billion pwned accounts, almost 70,000 paste, and almost 75 million paste accounts comprises this website. So in order to operate, it's really simple. All you need to do is put in any email address that you want to check out. So for this example, I'm going to use one of my email addresses, dispogames@gmail.com, and I'm going to click the pwn button here. So if it's been part of a data breach, this bottom part is going to turn red and it's going to say, oh no, pwned. And then it's going to tell you how many breaches it's been a part of. So as you can see here, it's been part of 2 breaches. So I'm going to keep scrolling down here. Down in here it's going to tell you what websites it was part of. So in 2013 we could see it was part of Adobe breach, where 153 million Adobe accounts were compromised. If I keep going down here, it's going to show you the compromised data. In this case, it was email addresses, password hints, passwords, and usernames. And again, it was part of a Dropbox breach in mid-2012. In this case, it was email addresses and passwords that got leaked. So in both cases, those are pretty horrific breaches. So fortunately for me, I've changed the password a couple times, so it's relatively safe. So you might be wondering why I'm telling you about this website. So for one, if you never use this, I highly recommend you just put your email address in there or email addresses. Make sure your accounts are safe. It's just really good practice. But as far as OSINT goes, you might be wondering what this has to do with it. So, to give you a small story, a while back I was doing an OSINT search on somebody. Didn't have a lot of information on them. I had an email address and I had a name, but I wasn't sure what other sites they were part of. So I decided to take their email address and I put it into Have I Been Pwned. And the results were actually pretty surprising. It found websites that particular account was tied to that I had no idea. Even when I did a Google search, it didn't come up. So I found out they had a Minecraft account, I found out they had a Pastebin account, and a few other websites. And using that information and their email address, I was actually able to find some pretty important information that was part of my investigation. And it was, again, it was really simple. I just put their email address in, and they just happened to be part of some data breaches. So again, this is Have I Been Pwned, and it can be found at haveibeenpwned.com. And again, if you're researching a target and you have an email address, do your Google searches. And also, I would recommend try putting in "Have I Been Pwned?" It doesn't hurt to run that extra check. Maybe you'll find a different information. Maybe you'll find additional information that didn't come up before. So again, "Have I Been Pwned?"